Today, we are talking all about why setting your 2019 intention is important and how it's going to help you finally hit your goals. Hey love, you're listening to the Mums and Biz Show and I'm Nick Torrey. Every week I'll bring you the unvarnished version of what it means to be a mum running a brilliant business, what you need to be doing to get it to where you want it to be, and a healthy dose of how to get the heck out of your own way. Let's dive in. Well, hey there, I'm Nick Turek, and today we are talking all about why setting your 2019 intention is important and how it's going to help you finally hit your goals. I'm going to start with a question today. How do you go about setting your goals? There are lots of different ways. Maybe you're a BHAG girl, big, hairy, audacious goals. You set those goals that make you feel nervous even saying the words, and they're huge, and then you go about trying to eat that elephant bite by bite. SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. That is a classic one that you will have heard about in a lot of different forums. Maybe you're dream-based in terms of how you set your goals. Maybe you're a 90-day goal girl. Maybe you don't set annual goals and you just work in 90-day chunks. Maybe you work in 30-day chunks. Maybe you don't set long-term goals at all and you're just a short-term planner. You know, there's a whole industry around goal setting actually, which is a really interesting point, don't you think? You can definitely achieve things with any goal setting technique that you choose. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to market them. And each one will tell you why the other ways of doing goals aren't as good. But the reality is that there are goal setting methods that will work for you, and there are goal setting methods that will not work for you. And it doesn't matter how closely you follow the method and the technique or the process that the experts lay out for you. So why is that then? I'm going to tell you a couple of stories today. So here's the thing. You are probably in a place where you're feeling a little bit weary. You realize that it's time to set goals again, and you drum up the energy and the enthusiasm to get into it. And I do mean drum up. I know what that feels like when you're just like, okay, let's go. I'm going to set goals. I'm really exhausted, but let's do it anyway. And you dig out your dreams and you dust off the discontent and the disillusionment because this time it's going to be more successful. Isn't it? Oh, no. Push that little voice of doubt down, that niggling little voice in the back of your head, which is going, well, we've tried this before and you tried that last time and that didn't work. There is no place for self-doubt in goal setting, is there? Okay, so we get into it and we're starting to get into doing our goal setting, and you start doing this. You are arbitrarily picking the goals that you think you need to achieve. And then we naturally moderate them up or down, even before you put them on the paper. You might not even be doing it consciously, although usually there's a little bit of conscious thought. And maybe it's about the size of the number that you're setting for yourself, and then you kind of moderate it down a little bit. Or you start feeling guilty because you think maybe that's not big enough. And, you know, Sally and Victoria and Betty, who you catch up with in such and such a coaching group or a Facebook group or whatever, talks about setting big goals. So maybe you should be doing the same thing that they're doing as well. And so you do that. You moderate them up or down, and it depends on your energy levels. It depends on your personality type. Depending on your personality type, you either turn them into detailed plans for implementation where you've got Excel spreadsheets and project management tables up the wazoo, or you pin them up on your board and keep doing what you were doing before, but you make sure you take time every day to look at what that dream or goal is until it's time to check in on how you're going again, which might just actually be an anxiety-ridden process full of more self-doubt or an uplifting experience. Does any of this sound familiar? See, we start each goal-setting period with great intentions. You want to be able to set the right goals and to achieve them. Of course you do. We're in this business bag to create results that are going to allow us more freedom, whether it's from financial stress, to create more space to have a bigger impact for our clients and ourselves and our families. Maybe it's to be able to decide more about how we spend our time. You want to set your goals with confidence that you are working towards the right things and that you will achieve them every single time. Does that sound like you? Let me know. I want you to think back to a time that you achieved your goals. Perhaps it was in your corporate role. Many of us have had corporate roles of some description, and you will have an example that you can think back to here. You probably had absolute clarity on what you needed to achieve because there was a job description. And you set goals that hit those objectives that have been set for you, and then some, because you wanted to stretch yourself, maybe work towards that promotion or bonus or a new role that you're working towards, because there's generally some kind of linear approach set out for us in our careers. We know what the next step looks like, and we can decide how fast we want to work towards it. Are you imagining and remembering some of this with me here? It's important to tap into the emotions, okay? There's a reason I'm taking you on this journey. So you have absolute clarity then on exactly what you need to do to get to that next step that you're working towards. You know exactly what you need to focus on to get those things done, and you just move forward taking action. And then at the end of the performance period, which means you also know exactly what the non-negotiable deadlines are for these goals, you recap with your leader or the person who is your performance coach on where you are at, what has gone well, and what needs improvement, and what you're going to focus on for the next performance period. Am I close to the mark at all? 99% of people who have been in some kind of corporate role will have had an experience with goal setting that looks like that. It's clear cut, it's certain, it's well shaped. You know exactly what it is you need to be working towards. It was definitely how I rolled with my career goals. And I had a career that I was really successful in. I was a high level position. I had a role that had a lot of responsibility, and I knew exactly what I needed to do to go to the next step. And for me, it came down to whether I chose to do the things that they wanted me to do to get there or not. So, but that clear-cut process, right? You want it to look like that in your business. You want it to be like that. You want to feel like that. So why can't you just set a goal and go and achieve it like you did before, like you did in that corporate example? Why is it a doubt-ridden experience? Why is it that you might feel like this absolute ninja in your corporate role, and yet when you start your business, it's like taking 14 steps backwards, and you're doubt-ridden and you're constantly fighting self-talk in order to be able to move forward? Why does it feel so hard all the time when before you just got in and achieved it? These are some really great questions, and you are absolutely not on your own here. So let's talk about why it feels like that in your business. And I'm going to start with the assurance that it is actually a good thing. And I can hear you going, what are you talking about, you crazy woman? This feels like absolute rubbish, and I want it to stop. And I know that I sound crazy, but if you weren't invested in your business and how it feels and what's going to happen and what that means, if you didn't actually care, then you wouldn't be experiencing all of that mental goodness around your goals, setting and achieving them. So take heart, my friend. There is a way forward for you. First off, you struggle to set and achieve goals effortlessly in your business because you're so invested in the outcome. That's not a bad thing. In fact, in order for us to be able to move forward and do all of the out of the box, definitely outside of our comfort zone stuff that we need to do to succeed in business, that we frankly have never had to do to succeed in our careers, or, well, no, as a mum, you definitely have to do out of the box uncomfortable stuff, but it's a different kind of realm and you really don't have a choice. And that actually is the difference maker. We do it because it's for our kids, and we don't have a choice. We have to figure it out or our children suffer, and that's the non-negotiable piece for us. In your business, if we are invested in the outcome and then we figure out how to connect it back properly to the things that we're doing, it starts to become way easier to do the thing that you need to do to get there. Does that make sense? Now, let me be really clear here. I'm not talking about attaching meaning to an outcome, which is something that we all do. That means I set this goal, I want that result to happen, and I don't get that result. Ergo, I let that mean something to me about being a failure, not having what the skills, maybe I feel like I'm not cut out for business, all of that kind of stuff. That's not what I'm talking about here. All I'm talking about is being really invested in that ideal life, that dream that you're wanting to build, and allowing that to help you make it non-negotiable. Okay. The second thing that is a problem here is you feel all the doubt and self-flagellation and that sense of wading through glue because your business is about you. Your career, perhaps ironically, I don't know, had nothing to do with you. It was all about someone else, someone else's business. And while you were invested and you were working towards something, there are no real dire consequences, for the most part, if you don't get there this time round. How many times, and be really honest with yourself when you think about this, have you missed a goal of some description in your career, big or small, and been able to very easily explain it away without losing any sleep over it? Or maybe only losing a little bit of sleep over it. When you're in business for yourself, though, it's all about you, especially in the early days, because you are probably it. And you're probably it for longer than you should be the only person in your business too, because we make it all about us. There is no one else to blame, which is not the right response, by the way, when you talk about achievement and how you're responding to it. But that's a topic for another day. But when things don't go according to plan, we feel the need to place blame somewhere. And the only way for us to do that is to place blame on ourselves. And so we tie ourselves up in knots over it. And then number 3, you need your goals to be tied to more than just a numerical result. They need to be more than just the thing you are pretty sure you need to master next. They need to really matter, and they need to be a driving force to achieving your dreams and your ideal life. Okay? I touched on this with the first point as well. And anybody who has worked with me or is in my course, Conflicted to Confident, knows that the way I go about setting goals is by starting with dream and ideal life and then figuring out what your business needs to deliver to you to enable you to move towards those things. It's a very different way of thinking about it. And so your goals then just become arbitrary actions that you need to take in order for you to achieve that thing that is super, super important to you, which is your ideal life, your dream, where you want to go. Does that make sense? So if you're tying your goals to something rather than just a numerical result, it's really, you either get the result or you get the lesson that you needed. And if you get the lesson that you needed, which means you probably didn't get the result, well then that's okay, because you can build on that lesson and you can move forward and achieve the result in a different way, or whatever it is that you needed to shift to be able to get there. But it's just a result, and it doesn't mean anything, because ultimately not achieving that thing right now, that doesn't mean you're not going to achieve your ideal life. It just means you need to take a slightly different path to get there. So if that's why it can feel so hard and so challenging to set these goals, how the heck can you get ahead of it? That's this goal setting uncertainty. How are you going to get ahead of that? Okay. That's what I want to talk about today. Sorry about all the water. I actually have a really tickly throat, which is way better than what I had last Monday, which was no voice. But talking for long periods of time is quite challenging. Okay, so how do you get ahead of all of that goal setting uncertainty? With clear intentions. That's what I wanted to get to today with you. See, the number one thing that is getting in your way and holding you back in any part of your business is belief, my friend, or more accurately, the lack of self-belief. So when I say clear intentions, I'm not talking about just having a word or a phrase for the year or setting a vague direction that you want to head in this year. I'm talking about knowing in your core exactly what this year is going to be about for you and for your business in detail. Is this year about growth? If it is, to take an example, what kind of growth? What are the numbers that you want to hit? Why do you want to hit those numbers? How do they ultimately move you towards your dreams? How are they aligned with the purpose and impact for your business? Do you have a purpose and impact for your business? Can you see where I'm going here? Really getting into the detail of saying, okay, if my intention for this year is about growth, What about it? What kind of growth? How much? What numbers? Why do I need to hit the numbers? How is it going to get me to ultimately where I want to be going? How is that aligned? Notice that none of those questions are about how you're going to achieve the intention, okay? Important. The how will come. That's where your goal setting starts to come in, and your planning and how you go about actually physically getting things done. And frankly, a little bit about leaving room for the magic, staying open to being guided and allowing opportunity in. Because opportunity will come your way that will help you to hit your goals and to realize the intention. And quite often we're so single-minded about, no, this is the direction that I know I need to go in, so I'm going to ignore everything else. And they pass you by. But again, a topic for another day. So the important thing to know when you're setting an intention for the year, for this year, for 2019, we're right at the start. It's this brand new, fresh canvas of opportunity and possibility, is that you are 100% committed to it, to your intention. That means that your intention for this year is non-negotiable. The only way to make it non-negotiable is to be able to answer all of those questions, okay? Now, I know that you know what I mean intellectually when I say non-negotiable, but do you know what it feels like in your gut? Let's go back to that kiddo example, hey? Think about a situation with your kiddos where you were absolutely categorical that something was going to happen for them. It could be big or small, doesn't really matter what it is, but at the end of the day, there was absolutely no way that that thing wasn't going to happen, come hell or the wrath of a protective mama. Okay, I know you know what I'm talking about. Have you got one in mind? Good. That is how I want you to feel about your intentions, that feeling you've got in your gut, that absolute, like, stonewall determination. That's how you need to feel about your intentions for 2019. Because it's really not easy to nail down that kind of commitment or to stay the course for all of the mindset work that it will take to get you there. But none of the truly worthy things in life are really easy, are they? And if you've got that kind of commitment and that determination, think back to your mum example, right? So you will go however many different ways you need to go to make that thing happen. And you will be the person that you need to be to make that thing happen for your child. That's exactly what you need to do for your business. That's why setting an intention is so important for 2019, for this year and for every year, and being able to learn and train yourself how to stick to it, how to have that same determination, how to catch yourself in the negative thoughts that come up, because they will absolutely come up. I 100% guarantee. There are very few things that are certain in life, but that is a certainty. How to catch yourself in them, how to reframe your thinking, how to take on board the growth that needs to happen for you to get there. It only happens when you've got that commitment nailed down. So I want you to sit with some time, spend some time with this, okay? Decide what your 2019 intention is and make sure that you can answer all of those questions about it. And that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoy listening to the Mums in Biz show, I would love for you to leave us a review on iTunes and be sure to post a snap of you enjoying the show on Instagram and tag me at nicole.tuerick. You can also join in the conversation with me in the Mums in Biz tribe on Facebook. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of the Mums in Biz show.